Brad Smith from BHP. Brad spoke yesterday, very interesting subject. So Brad, please join us back into the virtual stage and share your presentation in relation to water treatment in mining.
Thanks very much. Yes, so my name's Brad Smith. I work with BHP and closely together with a colleague you heard from just recently, Blair Douglas. And I'm here to share with you a focus that we've had specifically within our water stewardship program on new and emerging water treatment opportunities or technologies. I guess the two questions I'm going to leave you with after 3 or 4 slides is, firstly, we're interested to hear new and emerging treatment technologies that you may be aware of, particularly related to treating brine waste streams. And then secondly, the other question I'll leave with you is, or opportunity for you to come forward with, is around in treating those waste brine streams for recovered water. We also have the opportunity to develop crystalline salt products for either reuse on site, but also for third-party use. So they're the two questions which I'll eventually leave you with. The next slide, please. So the company BHP has a water stewardship initiative has been in place for a couple of years now, and it was instigated by the executive of BHP a few years ago, and it is in place to position the company as a global leader in water stewardship. It is a structured project within the company. It has a project management office. It sets annual programs for each of the business units across the company. And there's a monthly progress update on each of these 5 pillars or work streams that you see on the screen now. So the first one there is risk. The second one is technology, which is the topic I'm here to share with you today. The third one is valuing water. The fourth one is disclosure. And the last is collective action. Next slide, please. So the focus of the water technology workstream under that water stewardship initiative for the company is about focusing on material water risks for the company, both now, but also ones that are emerging in the future. And so the area that we've been focused on in the last 12 months has been around water treatment of low quality waters. And that's the prime purpose of that focus has been about water recovery for significantly improving the water use efficiency of our operations, to identify more cost competitive and more effective treatment technologies to mitigate against longer term impact on environment from things like mine affected water. And while doing those things, also looking to harness the either metal recovery or product recovery from those streams for either reuse on site or, as I mentioned earlier, for third-party sale. The next slide, please. So the range the company has across the operations that we operate in Australia and in the Americas, there are a range of different water qualities, both in terms of chemistry and flow, that we have looked to identify new and emerging treatment technologies for the purposes, as I said, primarily around water recovery to significantly improve the water use efficiency of those operations, but also to prevent or to mitigate potentially long-term impact associated with those streams. So the streams, I guess, that we have our focus on at the moment are very high TDS, total dissolved solid streams, related to managing processing tailings in some of our facilities. We also have an eye to processing significantly large, or providing an option for processing significantly large volumes of pit surplus water that accumulate from cyclonic events here in Australia and Queensland more specifically, and doing that in a cost-effective way. Next slide, please. So I mentioned we've had this focus around identifying new and emerging treatment technologies over the last 12 months, and the graphic on the screen is the process that we've been following to date to identify those options. So there's no rocket science to it. We set out from a clean slate and looked to develop a really divergent landscape of new and emerging technologies that couple to each of those treatment challenges I just quickly spoke about. We worked to develop a really divergent landscape, and then through a process of evaluating and shortlisted those down to some of what we saw as more relevant new and emerging options relative to those treatment challenges that we have. I guess the way we went about doing that was we set out and connected with a range of different vendors at the outset to develop that divergent landscape. And then through connecting with sort of various global SMEs, we were then sort of put ourselves in the position to be able to shortlist some of those options with very little information about them. In some cases, only sort of website claims, and then narrow them down into a shortlist and actually instigate some test work or some bench scale work in some of those options. But sort of coming back to the challenge or the question that we're posing for the audience here is, whilst we think we have quite a divergent landscape of options to choose from, we're certainly interested to hear around any alternative brine treatment technologies that you may be aware of or you have to offer, where it's focused on treating processed plant liquors, waste liquors that traditionally go to evaporation ponds, or in the case of mine affected pit water, very large volumes, gigalitres of water with a low TDS, but a treatment option for those sort of streams. And then the second challenge or the second area of interest that we are looking for feedback on, as I mentioned at the outset, was around in treating those streams for water recovery. We inevitably have the option to generate crystal salts from those streams for either reuse on site is limited, so we're sort of looking for opportunities in the marketplace or market opportunities to reuse those salts, which can be in significant volumes. And look forward to hearing more information from the team about those.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Brad. Always another great presentation. Brad, I really ask you to stay around for the final session this afternoon, where a lot of our innovative companies will be pitching. I think you might find some opportunities to work with some startups to help you solve some of your problems.